Shalom, Israel. Shalom, shalom. It's your Ak Chazamak, Ban Yashirala, coming to you once again with some thoughts. So, I don't know if I've explained this in previous videos, but I'll, in case you don't know, Chazamak is a name that means wall or ladder of support. Because throughout my life, my walk with the Lord, the Most High, whether it have even in Christianity, my heart, my desire was always to help people in their relationship with the Most High. What he's given me as a gift is what some might call steadfastness. Like I just keep going. I can be, relentless comes to mind, but maybe not relentless, but just steady. Like once I believed this, there was no turning back for me. Even, when I didn't even know fully who I was and didn't know the truth, and especially now in the truth, knowing who I am, who the Most High is better. I mean, obviously no one knows who he truly is. He's way bigger than that. He's more complex than that. But knowing who he is, relative to Israel, that has not changed. That's one thing that has not changed in me, is the desire to want to help people in their walk and in their relationship with the Most High, by giving them truth, encouragement, by my own life. I mean, that's really where it starts, by living my life honestly, not hypocritically, not just speaking words, but the actions don't match, making sure that to the best of my ability, and now I'm human and I make mistakes, so don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means or sinless by any means, but anybody who knows me knows that I'm always about this life. It don't change, whether I'm by myself or in a group of people. I'm about this walk. So that's what Chazamak means. And that's a lot of times where these, the heart and the desire for these videos come out of, is something that really helps me, something that encourages me. So then I want to pass on to you and help you. Whether it's one person or 8 people or 20 people. I mean, my videos don't get very many views. I don't care about that. What I believe is the ones who are supposed to see it will see it. That's what I believe. And that does not excuse me from having conversations, because I have conversations. I talk to people face to face. I spread my light. I spread this light many ways, both by what I do and what I say. And so make no mistake about it, I don't just hide behind the camera and speak boldly here. I speak boldly to others as well, not force feeding them, not just screaming and yelling and interjecting my thoughts and comments in others' conversations and those kind of things. But if you're having a conversation with me and truth needs to be spoken, I speak it. And I do it to the best of my ability so that you can receive it. Because what good is it if you don't receive it? What good is it if you don't receive it because of how I said it? I should say that. You might not receive it because it's truth. Not everybody's going to receive the truth no matter how you say it. And I get that. But if I'm mean and nasty to you, guards just go up, and you might not receive it for that fact alone. And I don't want to be the reason. I don't want how I say something or what I say. Well, I can't say what I say, because what I say might not be. It's not going to be for everybody, right? We already know 1/3 of Israel's only going to make it. 2/3 ain't going to make it, along with all the other nations that are just not going to get this. But what I'm saying is, I do my best to not make my delivery a reason why somebody may not receive this truth, or why they might reject the truth. But anyway, what I really wanted to talk to you about was the passage that I came across in the Apocrypha. And again, if you don't have the Apocrypha, then you should get it. If you've never read it, you should read it. And you should read it with the intent of really trying to understand what it's saying. because then you'll find out why they took this out of the Bible. Why they took this, why they had this in the original 1611 King James Version, and then a couple hundred years later decided we better take that out. They did that for a reason. The word apocrypha even means hidden books. So they've been hiding this from us. I remember when I was in Christianity, I was told a couple different times, don't read the apocrypha. That's part of the Catholic Bible, and that's, we don't deal with that, and that's not part of the canon, and that's been rejected. And well, now that I'm reading it, I know why I was told not to read it, because it reveals who we are. It's way too plain, as you're going to see. So where I'm going today is I'm going to the book of Ecclesiasticus. Now, it sounds very familiar because the same author wrote Ecclesiastes in the Bible. That's Solomon. But in Ecclesiasticus, or in some Bibles, it might say Baruch. In chapter 35, I read something really interesting. So verse 4 says this: thou shalt not appear empty before the Lord. So verse 4 says we shouldn't appear empty before the Lord. And I've read that in other places too. I've read that certain passages that kind of say the same thing, or even when I've read this in passing before, obviously I reread the thing over and over again. I've read this passage before, the scripture before. It always came across as something that I better make sure that I don't do. Better make sure you don't appear before the Lord empty. But the other day I was reading this again, and the Most High opened my understanding, because the first 3 verses and then the 5th verse really, the context really brought the understanding of what he's saying. So let me start from the first verse now, and I'm going to read down to verse 4. He that keepeth the law bringeth offerings enough. He that taketh heed to the commandment offereth a peace offering. Verse 2. He that requiteth a good turn offereth fine flour, and he that giveth alms sacrificeth praise. Verse 3. To depart from wickedness is a thing pleasing to the Lord, and to forsake unrighteousness is a propitiation. Verse 4. Thou shalt not appear before the Lord empty, or thou shalt not appear empty before the Lord. So then it was like a light switch went off. He's not saying this is something you better not do. What he's saying is, if you are keeping the law, if you are taking heed to the commandments, if you are he that requiteth a good turn, if you are giving alms, if you depart from wickedness, you can't appear before the Lord empty, because these things have spiritual aspects. So something that we're doing in the natural has the spiritual aspect, the spiritual application, which does not allow us to appear before the Lord empty. And it makes sense because the Messiah said that the Most High is a spirit. He is spirit, and those that worship him must do it in spirit and in truth. So when we're doing these things in the natural, keeping the law in the natural, why do you think that people have told us for so long we don't got to keep the law no more? Because keeping the law is how we bring offerings. And it says, bringeth offerings enough. It's the spiritual part that they're trying to keep from us. The things in the spirit. When we keep the law, not only are we showing the Father that we trust him and that we love him, but now we are giving offerings. This is why we don't have to do the sacrifices and offerings in the natural anymore, because the Messiah came. He was that final sacrifice once and for all. And now this is how we give our offerings, through keeping the law, through offering. He that requiteth a good turn offereth fine flour, meaning when you return something good when somebody did bad to you, it's like offering fine flour. Go read in the law and all the different types of offerings we had to give. We had to give peace offerings and sacrificial offerings, praise offerings. He that giveth alms sacrificeth praise. That's a kind of praise offering. So we see that how that's been tainted. We see how that's been distorted, right? So you wonder why can I give offerings and then I am being blessed? Because even when it's not in the right mind, what does the word say? That his word cannot return to him void. So even when we don't have the proper understanding, that's something that a lot of people will do. They give alms. We just call it offering, or we call it tithes and offerings. They give alms. Well, there's a reward for that, whether you believe it or not. Just like sowing and reaping is a law. It is a universal law. It works. It happens whether you believe it or not. You reap what you sow. That is truth that happens to everybody. So if you're giving alms or you're giving offering and you're seeing a return on that, that's because the Most High's word will not return to him void. It's going to happen regardless if you believe it or not. But look what you're missing out on. Keeping the Most High's laws, obeying his commandments, and the offerings and the things that has to do with in the spirit. Now watch, verse 5. For all these things are to be done. Are to be done because of the commandment. We're supposed to do these things because of the commandment. And when we do these things, we will not appear before the Most High empty. What does the word say? It says anything that's done in this world that's not for the Most High, when it's tried against that fire, it's going to burn. The only things that are going to last are the things that we did for the Most High. One of the things we do for the Most High is obey his word. What does his word say? Keep his commandments, keep his laws, like dietary laws. So yeah, eating pork is a big deal. Eating a shellfish is a big deal because he told us not to do it. It's really a simple obedience thing, but he told us not to do it. And by keeping these commandments, we are building up that treasure for ourselves. So we think we've been told, oh, just when you do something nice for somebody is like the only way to build up treasure. Or prayer and fasting, that's a way to build up treasure. Well, right, we're reading right here that there is another way to build up treasure, and it even says it in the very first verse. Keeping the law bringeth offerings enough. It's more than you think. It's a bigger deal than we've been told. We do it to the best of our ability as the Most High opens our understanding. He'll give us, he says he'll never give us more than we can bear. I've always likened that to like temptations and problems and situations, but even to truth. If he gave us all the truth at once, do you really think we could bear it? Not only could we not bear, we wouldn't even comprehend it. And we would probably get discouraged and we would turn away. We'd be like that seed on the wayside that when the sun came up and it scorches it. So it springs up for a minute, but it don't got no depth of earth. It never had time to dig its roots in and really take the time to get some good foundation. So he won't give us more than we can bear. That's on the bad and on the good. We got to think about that. So that's why we have to continue searching and continue reading and continue walking and continue seeking after the Most High so we can grow, and then we are able to bear a little bit more. We are able to take on a little bit more. The word is filled with so much truth. You and I, we have no idea. We have no idea. It's so much has been hidden from us. I mean, think about it. If they were able to hide our identity from us for hundreds of years, what else have they been hiding? What else? What other understanding has been hidden from us in this word that the Most High wants to bring out? If we would just seek him, if we would just chase after his truth. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, seek the Most High. Do your best to keep his commandments. If it starts with just dietary law, start somewhere. Just start. Read the word. Pray for understanding. And he will give you understanding as much as you can bear, but not more, until you grow. The more you grow, the more you can handle, the more you get. As I was reading last night, the Most High gave me, sometimes I post on Instagram, which my Instagram handle is @Chasamak, CHAAMASAK. If you want to follow me, it's mainly verses. Every once in a while I'll post pictures of my grandkids or something like that, but it's mainly just verses. Like when I'm reading, if a verse or two hits me, I'll underline or highlight the words that hit me, and then I'll post them. And that's pretty much what I do on my Instagram. But I don't do Facebook, and I don't do Twitter either. But last night, he hit me with another one. Let me. It was Ecclesiasticus, because that's the book I'm in right now, and it was chapter 39, verse 33. He says, "All the works of the Lord are good, and he will give every needful thing in due season." And what he was saying to me is, we have to be content and patient. They go together. Content with what we have. Because when we become ungrateful or no longer content with what we have, we start to look to what we don't have. We start to look to what the heathen has, or the other nations have, or what they can do. And then we start to desire those things. Sound familiar? It's what our ancestors has done over and over and over again. That's what all these different captivities were about. We took our eyes off of what we had and being content. And which was really ridiculous is we have the Most High on our side. What more can you need? Like, there's nothing higher than that. But anyway, we started looking at the other nations and what they were able to do, and what, the things that they did and had. And we no longer became content. And then we got impatient. So we started doing the things that they were doing because we wanted the things that they had. And to us, that is sin. So the Most High had to deal with us. That's the different captivities. But he's saying now, we have to learn how to be content with what we have, while we patiently wait on until he gives us what we need. Because he knows what we need. He said it. Messiah said it. He said, your Father, he knows what you need even before you ask it. Now, we're still supposed to ask, but he already knows what we need. But again, he will not put on us more than we can bear, good and bad. So, being content, because all of his works are good. What he's got for us, what he's given us right now, what he has in our lives right now is good. Well, you might be going through something. Guess what? I'm going through something too. But it's for our betterment. Now, again, these are things that are located in the Apocrypha, if you would just read it. Talking about the fiery trials that we go through and how they make us better. Now, yeah, the scriptures touch on that as well. And so that just means it's echoed in the Apocrypha, or the scriptures are echoing the Apocrypha, or the Apocrypha echoes the scriptures. Either or, because they were all part of the same writings. That's how we're made better through some of these trials. It's how some of those things are stripped away from us that don't belong in us. Don't belong on us. Don't belong with us. And we have to trust the Most High to deal with us in that way, because he loves us, and be content while he's dealing with us, while at the same time being patient, because he will give us what we need. So we just continue keeping the law, keeping commandments, giving alms, offering praise, because those things do matter. They do matter, and they will matter when you stand before him in judgment. When I stand before him in judgment, they do matter. So don't give up. Don't quit. If you've been doing those things and you haven't seen anything, or you don't think nothing's happening, I promise you, things are happening. In due season. We got to be patient, though. We got to be patient, Israel. See a lot of people getting anxious, and that can be dangerous. That can be dangerous. Do what you're supposed to do. Be obedient. The Most High is definitely going to have some people doing one thing, and he's going to have some people doing another thing. He might have some people doing one thing and have you doing nothing for a time. Having you sit down and learn and grow. There is incubation time. Study the butterfly. There's a time where that caterpillar does nothing while he goes through that change, through that metamorphosis. Just because everybody's doing something or somebody you know is doing something, if the Most High is telling you right now is not your time, then obey that. Obey him. It's not your time, but it will be in due season. We got to be patient. We got to be content. Because those are two things that the enemy has taken and come against to get us to move out of what the Most High has for us. We've become impatient and we have no longer been content. Be patient in keeping the laws, keeping the commandments. They do matter. They do matter. Shalom.